Today I'm going to talk a little bit about materials, how they work differently, and why it's good to know what different things materials are capable of, what their limitations are. For instance, colored pencils are sometimes easy to erase if you want to make alterations or go a different direction with your drawing, and sometimes they're not. The darker pigments and sometimes the stronger pigments like the reds, the darker ones like this very dark blue, are not forgiving. That's one word people use, or movable is another word that's used. But sometimes some people, the way they work, want to be able to set up a drawing and make alterations before they begin to get really committed and put down darker colors and more final colors. And so I've discovered, and that is the way I work. Now that's of course a personal preference. Some people, that's not important. They put down what they put down and they go with that and make a piece of art from wherever that medium takes them. And that's a very viable and very exciting way to work. Some of us prefer to be able to make a few alterations before they allow that kind of freedom to happen. So I've discovered that the Prismacolor Peach pencil, Peach or Pesh, it gives the two different names, is one that if it goes down lightly will erase fairly easily to make alterations. Another one is the clay, let's see, Argyle, nope, sorry, that's the wrong one. Wait a minute, maybe it is. Nope, that's a little bit stronger, so we'll stick with the peach. Now, for instance, when I work with the figure, with a live figure, and this is hard to see, this is a big piece of art, I work at the palette and chisel sometimes in the open studios where the model poses for only 2 days, or that is 3 hours at a time, 1 week, and then the next week they come back in the same pose for another 3 hours. So that's not a lot of time to really get down the figure. So I started it with this particular pencil, and some of the places I erased because I didn't like where they were going. Some of them I just left there because it was light enough that I could go in. This was a man who was wearing a suit of armor. He's an actor. I could just go in over top of it with darker colors, and that worked for me. So that's one piece of information about how colored pencils work. We're going to do a mixed media in this particular exercise using black felt pen, mixing it with the colored pencil. Now this is a very common way to two common materials that are mixed, and very often it's done with an outline of the black pen and then the colored pencil filling in the tone, which again is a very viable way to work. The way oops, that's a little brush there. I didn't realize I grabbed that one. Micron is my favorite product for this. There are other ones. This is what it looks like. Sharpie will work, and there are Sharpies that don't bleed, but many of the Sharpies bleed either out as you're working or through the paper, and I don't particularly like when that happens. So this is one felt tip product that I like. So the way I'm going to use it is to get the very black places on this image of this dog. For instance, the eyes, you can see how expressive those eyes are, and to really get the black pupils and the nose, which if you look at this, to me it is two of the most critical areas that I would want to highlight with this dog. I mean, his body is important, but the expressiveness in this image, I think, is the eyes and the nose. So I'm going to use spot coloring for the eyes and the nose with the pen after I put in some colored pencil. So to begin it, I would begin, as I usually do, with getting the big shapes. And I'm going to use this peach colored pencil. And I'm seeing the head as one shape. Then I'm seeing this area, including the legs, as another big shape. And then this area as a shape. So I'm not, in the first go around here, going to separate the appendages and the features on the face and so forth. I'm really going to go for those big shapes. So, and I'm working a little darker than I would go very, very lightly, because I don't always get it in the first go. So I'm seeing that big shape and then this shape over here. Now, as I look at it, I'm just going to assess the proportions here. And when I start getting more refined in the drawing, I may want to erase. For instance, right here, his little foot is down here and then his other foot is here. And I don't want this straight line here, so I will remove it as I continue to get more refined in my drawing. And if I was working more lightly, as I would if I was working on my own, that would come up almost completely. So this is one that I've been working on, and you see I haven't used any of the black pens, the black pen. I've used to get some of the color tone in here. I've used a little bit of orange, a little bit of red, a little bit of an earthy brown. And to get the way the body curves back in here, I will go to some grays and possibly some light blues. But for now, I just wanted to get some tone into the head so that I could show what happens if you go in there with pen. And again, I'm going to use it very sparingly. Make sure that that's a little bit thin. These come in different thicknesses. I think that one will work, although it's a little bit dry. They do tend to dry up, which is a downside, but well, that one's really dry. Looks like I need to get myself some more pens. Okay, we'll go with this one. So this is one that I was also working on, and you can see how light the colored pencil tone is, and how going in and putting black pen in just the eyeball and just the nostrils. The rest of this area is all colored pencil, and it's browns and blues. It's not black, because I wanted a little lively darkness in there. Now the thing about a pen is it is not forgiving, as we say. It cannot be taken up or gone over with the pencil. So I needed to be very sure I had the drawing going the way I wanted it to before I go in and put the pen marks, because I will not be able to change those. And two things I did that are very important with this drawing is I protected, that is, I left the white highlight in the eye and the white highlight on the tip of the nose, the paper color. I did not go in there with any tone. I protected that by not going in there with any tone, because those two areas are what give the properties of those two features, which is wetness. Dog's nose is always wet. If it's not, the dog is sick, I'm told. And the eye is has a wetness to it, and that's why the highlight. So that's very important. So I'm going to go in now and put in, on this drawing, the black which comes over like this, over the top of the eye area there, and then around below the highlight, and then just circles the color. The iris there is a sort of dusty orange, so to speak. And this highlight needs to be a little bit smaller maybe. So I'm going to do the same here. And then circle that color there. And then I'm doing just the nostrils, not the rest of the nose area, but just the nostrils, because they are deep, deep caverns there. Now this is not like the figure. We always say don't draw the nostrils, but with animals, it's a little bit different, and they are very prominent, and it's sticking straight out. So we're going to see them quite prominently. Then I'm going to go in and just deepen the color on this nose so that it, but again, I'm protecting this white area, this tip, which is white because it's wet. Going with a little bit of blue, darken that up a little bit. And I prefer the blue and brown mix or earthy brown mix to black, because black colored pencil can sometimes just be a deadly coloration and just take the life out of the color. So you can see how just using that touch of black pen gives a life. It enables the nose to really come forward and the eyes to really have expression. Mixing it with the colored pencil tones, and I won't have to go much darker with the colored pencil to get the liveliness to this little animal.